The warning lights on Tamman Park's control panel flashed red like angry eyes. His small transport ship shook hard as smoke filled the tiny cockpit. Something was very wrong with the engine. "Come on, hold together," Tamman said to his ship. He pushed buttons and pulled levers trying to fix the problem. But the shaking got worse. Tamman was 28 years old and had been flying in space for 6 years. He worked as a mining engineer for a big company. His job was to check on mining stations and bring supplies to workers on faraway planets. It was not exciting work, but it paid well. Today was supposed to be easy. He was bringing food and medicine to a small mining station near a red star called Kepler 442. The trip should take only 3 days, but now his ship was dying, and he was still 2 days away from help. The ship's computer spoke in a calm voice that did not match the danger. Engine failure complete. Life support at 60%, landing systems damaged. Through his front window, Tamman saw a small gray moon. It looked dead and cold, with no air and no life, but it was the only place to land. "Well, at least it's something," he said. The landing was not gentle. Tamman's ship hit the moon's surface hard and slid across the rocky ground for a long time. Metal screamed against stone. Finally, the ship stopped moving. Tamman's head hurt, and his arm was bleeding, but he was alive. He looked around the broken cockpit. Most of his equipment was smashed. The radio was dead. The air recycler was making strange noises. He checked his suit's computer. The moon had no air to breathe. The temperature outside was cold enough to freeze water in seconds, and his ship's air would last only 3 days if he was lucky. "Great," Tamman said. "Just great." He put on his spacesuit and went outside to look at his ship. The engine was completely broken. Black metal was melted and twisted. The communication dish was in pieces on the ground. Even if someone was looking for him, they could not hear his calls for help. But Tamman did not give up. His father had taught him that giving up was not allowed. His father had been a soldier and always said, "Keep fighting until you win or die trying." Tamman went back inside and started working. He took apart broken machines to find parts that still worked. He used wire and metal tape to build a simple radio. It was not pretty, but it might work. For hours he worked without stopping. His hands got cut from sharp metal pieces. His back hurt from bending over. But slowly, his emergency radio came, together. On the second day, Tamman turned on his radio. He set it to send the same message over and over again on all frequencies. The message was simple. "This is Tamman Park. My ship crashed on Moon K442M7. I need help. My air will run out in 36 hours. If anyone can hear this, please help me." He sent this message every few minutes. Between messages, he listened for answers. But space was quiet. No one answered. Tamman tried not to think about dying alone on this cold moon. Instead, he kept working. He fixed small holes in his ship's walls. He made his air recycler work a little better. Every hour he gained was another hour someone might find him. On the third day, his air was getting thin. Breathing was hard. Tamman felt tired and dizzy. He knew he had maybe 6 hours left. He kept sending his message, but his voice was getting weak. "This is Tamman Park. Please, if anyone is out there, I don't want to die here." Then something amazing happened. His radio made a sound. Not just the empty noise of space, but a real signal. Someone was trying to talk to him. The voice was strange. It did not sound human. The words were careful and slow, like someone learning a new language. "Human Tamman Park. We hear your message. Are you hurt?" Tamman's heart jumped. Someone had found him. Yes, I'm here. I'm not badly hurt, but my air is almost gone. Can you help me?" "We are coming. Stay calm. Do not use energy. We will reach you soon." 2 hours later, Tamman saw lights in the black sky. A ship was coming down to the moon's surface. It was not like any human ship he had ever seen. This ship was smooth and white like a pearl. It landed softly near his crashed transport. The ship's door opened, and 2 beings came out. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin. Their eyes were large and kind. They moved in a graceful way, like dancers. One of them spoke through a translation device. "I am Veltar. This is Quinda. We are Ethon people. You are safe now. Tamman felt tears in his eyes. He was going to live. These strangers had saved his life. Veltar and Quinda worked quickly. They brought breathing equipment to give Tamman fresh air. Quinda looked at his cuts and gave him medicine that made the pain go away. They were gentle and careful, like they were helping a hurt animal. "Why did you help me?" Tamman asked. "You don't even know me." Veltar looked confused by the question. "You needed help. How could we not help?" "But I'm not your people. I'm human. We're strangers. All thinking beings are connected," Quinda said softly. "When one suffers, we all suffer. When one is saved, we all are saved." The Ethans brought Tamman onto their ship. Inside, everything was beautiful and clean. The walls glowed with soft light. The air smelled like flowers. They gave him food that tasted better than anything he had ever eaten. They gave him clean clothes and a comfortable bed. Most importantly, they gave him hope. "Where are you taking me?" Tamman asked. "To the human colony at New Sol," Veltar said. "It is far, but we will get you home safely." "That's 3 weeks away. Why would you do that for me?" Quinda smiled. Her smile was beautiful and sad at the same time. "Because it is right. Because you are alive and deserve to stay alive. Because helping others makes us who we are." As their ship left the dead moon, behind Tamman looked back at his crashed transport. He had been so close to dying there. But these kind strangers had saved him without asking for anything in return. He did not know that this moment would change everything. He did not know that his rescue would lead to the biggest space war in history. He only knew that 2 aliens had risked their lives to save his, and someday he would find a way to pay them back. The ship flew through the darkness of space, carrying a grateful human and his 2 new friends toward home. In the distance, stars twinkled like tiny diamonds, beautiful and cold and endless. None of them knew that in 6 months those same stars would be filled with warships. 6 months had passed since Veltar and Quinda saved Tamman's life. He was back home on New Sol, working at his engineering job again. But he often thought about his alien friends and wondered how they were doing. The Ethons had given him a small communication device before they left. It could send messages across space, but only sometimes. The signal had to travel very far to reach their home planet. Tamman had sent several messages to thank them. Veltar always wrote back with kind words. Quinda sent pictures of their beautiful world, with purple trees and silver rivers. Their planet looked like a peaceful dream. On Tuesday morning, Tamman was drinking coffee and reading space news on his computer. A headline made him stop breathing. "Ethan homeworld under attack. Vorthan Empire invades." His hands shook as he read the story. The Vorthans were a race of warriors who conquered other planets. They had ships that looked like giant black spears. Their soldiers wore heavy armor and carried weapons that could melt metal. The news report said the attack had started 3 days ago. Hundreds of Vorthan warships had surrounded the Ethan planet. The peaceful Ethans had no army to fight back. They only had small ships for exploring space and helping others. "No, no, no," Tamman said out loud. He tried to use his communication device to call Veltar and Quinda, but he got no answer, only silence. Tamman ran to his workplace and found his boss, manager Hyunwoo Nam. "Sir, I need time off. My friends are in danger." "What friends?" "Manager," Nam asked. "The aliens who saved my life, the Ethans, their planet is being attacked." Manager Nam looked confused. "That's very sad, Tamman. But what can you do about it? It's not our problem." "Not our problem? They saved my life when they didn't have to." "I'm sorry, but we can't give time off for alien wars. Get back to work." Tamman felt angry and helpless. He tried calling the government, but no one would listen. He called the space military, but they said human ships did not go that far from home. That evening, Tamman sat in his small apartment and watched more news. The reports were getting worse. The Vorthons were not just conquering the Ethon planet. They were capturing Ethans and using them for experiments. Dr. Sora Lee, a scientist who studied alien races, appeared on the news. She looked very sad as she spoke. The Ethons are one of the most peaceful species in the galaxy, she said. They have never hurt anyone. They spend their time making art, studying stars, and helping others. But this makes them easy targets for the Vorthans. What do the Vorthans want? The news reporter asked. Ethon bodies are different from ours. Their blood can heal almost any injury. Their brains can solve problems very fast. The Vorthans want to use these abilities to make super soldiers. Tamman felt sick. His kind friends were being hurt by monsters, and no one seemed to care. He could not sleep that night. He kept thinking about Veltar's gentle voice and Quinda's beautiful smile. They had risked their lives to save him. Now they might be dead, and he could do nothing. The next morning, Tamman made a decision. If the government would not help, he would make people care another way. He turned on his computer and started typing. He wrote the story of his rescue. He told how his ship had crashed and how he was dying alone on a cold moon. He wrote about Veltar and Quinda finding him and saving his life without asking for anything back. Then he wrote, "These beings saved me when I was nobody to them. They could have flown past my crashed ship. They could have ignored my calls for help, but they didn't. They risked their lives because it was right. Now they need help, and we're doing nothing." Tamman posted his story on the computer network where people shared news and ideas. He titled it, "They saved one human. Who will save them?" At first, only a few people read it, but then something amazing happened. People started sharing Tamman's story with their friends. The friends shared it with more friends. Soon thousands of people were reading it. Comments appeared under his story. "This made me cry. We have to help them. If aliens saved my life, I would want to pay them back too. The government is wrong. This is our problem." Captain Haiwan Kim of the space military read Tamman's story. She had a daughter the same age as Tamman. She thought about how she would feel if her daughter was saved by strangers, and then those strangers were killed. Captain Kim called Tamman. "I read your story. I want to help, but the military won't act without government orders." "What can we do?" Tamman asked. "Keep telling people. Make them understand. If enough people care, the government will have to listen." Tamman's story spread across all the human colonies. People on Mars shared it. People on the space stations talked about it. Workers in the asteroid mine sent it to their families. News reporters started calling Tamman. They wanted to interview him about his rescue. Every time he told the story, more people heard it. "They didn't know me," Tamman said on the biggest news show in human space. "I was just some guy with a broken ship. But they saved me because they believed all life was important. Now their whole race might die and we're sitting here doing nothing." The reporter asked, "But what can humans do? Their planet is very far away." "I don't know," Tamman said. "But we have to try something. We can't just let good people die because helping them is hard." By the end of the week, Tamman's story had been seen by over 1 billion humans. People were angry that their government was not helping. They started holding meetings in the streets. Signs appeared everywhere. "Remember the Ethans," and "They saved one of us." Dr. Sora Lee called Tamman with terrible news. "I'm getting reports from the Ethon system. The Vorthans have taken most of the planet. Thousands of Ethons are being captured every day. The ones who escape are running to other planets, but they have nowhere to go." "What about Veltar and Quinda?" "I don't know. Communication with their world has been cut off." Tamman felt like his heart was breaking. His friends might already be dead, but he could not give up. He kept telling their story to anyone who would listen. Then something unexpected happened. The president of the Human Colonial Assembly, Yujin Han, announced she would make a special speech about the Ethon situation. Tamman watched with millions of other humans as President Han appeared on every screen in human space. "My fellow humans," she said, "we have heard the story of Tamman Park and the aliens who saved his life. We have seen how good beings can be destroyed by evil ones. The question now is, what kind of people are we?" The president paused and looked directly into the camera. Are we the kind of people who forget our debts? Are we the kind of people who let good friends die because helping them is difficult? Or are we better than that? Tamman held his breath. Everything depended on what she said next. Tomorrow the assembly will vote on whether to send help to the Ethans. It will be expensive, it will be dangerous, but it will be right. Across human space, people cheered. Finally, someone in power was listening. But Tamman knew this was just the beginning. Even if the vote passed, it would take time to organize, help. Time that Veltar and Quinda might not have. In the darkness of space, the Vorthon ships continued their cruel work, and somewhere among the captured Ethans, two gentle beings who had once saved a human's life waited for rescue that might never come. The vote was in 3 days. Tamman could not sit still. He walked around his apartment, checking news updates every few minutes. All across human space, people were talking about the Ethans. On Mars colony, 10,000 people gathered in the main square. They held signs that said, "One human, one debt, and we remember." The crowd was so big that the governor had to close down the streets. On Europa Station, workers stopped their jobs for 1 hour. They stood in silence to honor the Ethans who were suffering. The station's lights dimmed as a sign of respect. Even on Earth, in the old cities where people rarely cared about space politics, crowds filled the parks. Children who had never seen an alien drew pictures of Veltar and Quinda saving Tamman. But not everyone wanted to help. Some people thought it was stupid to risk human lives for aliens. "Why should we fight someone else's war?" asked Councilman Jae-sung Ryu on a debate show. "We have our own problems. Let the Ethans solve their own troubles." This made people angry. Thousands of messages flooded the government offices. Most of them said the same thing. "They helped one of us. Now we help all of them." Admiral Dong-soo Choi was in charge of the Human Defense Fleet. He was a careful man who did not like taking big risks. But he had been studying the situation, and he was worried. Admiral Choi called a meeting with President Yoo Jin-han and her advisors. In a secure room deep underground, he showed them pictures of Vorthon ships. "The Vorthons are not just attacking the Ethans," he said. "They are testing new weapons. They are learning how to fight peaceful races. If they succeed, they will look for other targets." "Are you saying they might attack us?" President Han asked. "Not today, but in 5 years? 10 years? The Vorthons believe strong races should rule weak ones. They think humans are weak because we help others instead of conquering them." Defense Minister Kyung-ho Park studied the star maps. "How far away is the Ethon system?" 8 months travel time with our fastest ships," Admiral Choi said. "It would be the longest military mission in human history." "How many ships would we need?" Admiral Choi was quiet for a moment. "To fight the Vorthons? All of them. Every ship we have." The room went silent. President Han understood what this meant. If they sent the entire fleet to help the Ethans, human space would be defenseless. It was the biggest gamble any human leader had ever considered. "What? Are our chances of winning?" she asked. "Unknown. The Vorthons have more ships than us, but they have never fought humans before. They might underestimate us." That evening, President Han walked alone in her garden. She thought about Tamman's story. She thought about the millions of people who wanted to help the Ethans. She thought about her own daughter, who was the same age Tamman had been when he was saved. Her phone rang. It was her military advisor, General Subin Kwok. "Madam President, we just received a message. It came through an old emergency channel that the Ethans gave to one of our scientists years ago." "What does it say?" "It's from someone called Elder Zephron. He says the Ethans are hiding in underground cities. They are running out of food and medicine. He estimates they have maybe 2 months before their people start dying from hunger." President Han closed her eyes. 2 months. Even if they voted to help tomorrow, it would take time to prepare the fleet. Time they might not have. "General, how fast can we move if we have to?" "If we skip the normal preparations and take risks, 6 months to get there. But it would be dangerous. More dangerous than letting the Ethans die?" "No, Madam President, you're right." The next morning, Tamman got a phone call that changed his life. It was from President Han herself. "Mr. Park, I want you to speak to the assembly before they vote." The people need to hear from you directly. Tamman's hands shook. I'm just an engineer. I don't know how to talk to politicians. You don't need to talk to politicians. You need to talk to humans. Tell them what Veltar and Quinda mean to you. Tell them why this matters. 2 hours later, Tamman stood in the great assembly hall. 500 representatives sat in curved rows looking down at him. Billions more watched on screens across human space. He was terrified, but he thought about his friends, probably hiding in dark caves while monsters hunted them. That gave him strength. 6 months ago I was dying, Tamman began. His voice was quiet, but the room was completely silent. My ship was broken on a cold moon. My air was running out. I sent a message asking for help, but I didn't think anyone would hear it. He told them about Veltar and Quinda. He described their kindness, their gentle voices, their beautiful ship. He told them about the 3 weeks they spent together traveling to human space. They told me stories about their world, Tamman said. They have cities made of crystal that sing in the wind. They have gardens where every flower has a different smell. They spend their time making music and art and helping others. Some of the representatives had tears in their eyes, but the most important thing they told me was this. They said all thinking beings are connected. When one suffers, we all suffer. When one is saved, we all are saved. Tamman looked around the room. The Vorthons don't believe this. They think strong people should hurt weak people. They think kindness is stupid. They are wrong. His voice got stronger. Veltar and Quinda didn't save me because I was human. They saved me because I was alive and needed help. That's who they are. That's why they're worth saving. He paused. Some people ask why we should risk our lives for aliens. I ask why we shouldn't. If we let good people die because helping them is hard, what does that make us? The room was so quiet that Tamman could hear his own heartbeat. They helped one human when they didn't have to. Now humanity gets to choose who we really are. When Tamman finished speaking, something amazing happened. One representative started clapping, then another, then all of them. The sound filled the great hall like thunder. The vote was not even close. 470 representatives voted yes, only 30 voted no. President Han stood up to make the announcement that would change galactic history. The Human Colonial Assembly has decided. We will send our fleet to help the Ethans. We will show the galaxy that humanity pays its debts. Across human space, people cheered in the streets. Ships began moving toward gathering points. Weapons. Factories started working around the clock. But in his apartment, Tamman sat quietly and used his communication device one more time. He sent a message toward Ethon space even though he knew it probably would not get through. Veltar, Quinda, if you can hear this, we're coming. All of us are coming. Hold on just a little longer. In the darkness between the stars, the message traveled at the speed of light toward a world under siege, and in underground tunnels beneath a crystal city. 2 gentle beings who had once saved a human's life waited for salvation they could not even imagine. The largest fleet in human history was about to begin the longest journey any human had ever attempted. All because 2 aliens had decided that one stranger's life was worth saving. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when someone helped a human. The space around Mars had never been so crowded. Ships arrived every day from across human space. Big warships with heavy weapons, fast attack ships with new engines, supply ships filled with food and medicine. Even old ships that had been in storage for years were brought back to service. Fleet Admiral Min Ho Song stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the greatest sight in human history. 847 warships floated in perfect formations. 300,000 humans had volunteered to make the long journey to Ethon space. Admiral, his aide reported, the last ships from the outer colonies just arrived. We're at full strength. Admiral Song was 55 years old and had commanded fleets for 20 years. But he had never seen anything like this. Ships from every human world, crews from every walk of life, all united by one simple idea. They owed the Ethons a debt. In the ship's meeting room, Admiral Song talked with his officers about their mission. Captain Haewon Kim was there, along with the fleet's other commanders. The journey will take 8 months, Admiral Song said. We'll have to cross unknown space. We don't know what dangers we might find. What about supplies? Asked Captain Donghyun Lee. This many ships will need a lot of fuel and food. Every human colony is helping, replied Chief Engineer Da Eun-yu. Mars is giving us extra fuel. The farming worlds are sending food. Even Earth is contributing supplies. Captain Kim looked at the star charts. What do we know about Vorthon? Military strength? They have about 1,000 ships, Admiral Song said, but their ships are built for conquering weak enemies. They might not be ready to fight someone who fights back. Colonel Jisoo Park, Tamman's sister, stood up. She was in charge of the special soldiers who would rescue captured Ethans. Sir, what if the Ethans are all dead when we arrive? Admiral Song was quiet for a moment. Then we make sure the Vorthons pay for what they did. But I don't think all the Ethans are dead. They're smart. They know how to hide. As the fleet prepared to leave, Tamman visited his sister on her ship. Colonel Park commanded 2,000 special soldiers trained for dangerous rescue missions. Are you scared? Tamman asked her. Terrified, she said honestly, but also proud. Our parents would be proud too. Their parents had died in an accident when Tamman and Jisoo were young. They had been rescue workers who saved people from dangerous places. They had taught their children that helping others was the most important thing in life. I want to come with you, Tamman said. You're not a soldier, but I know Veltar and Quinta. If they're still alive, they'll trust me more than they'll trust strangers with guns. Colonel Park thought about this. It's dangerous. You could die. They risked their lives for me. I can risk mine for them. Finally, she agreed. Tamman joined her special unit as a cultural advisor. His job would be to help rescue teams communicate with Ethans and keep them calm during the fighting. The day before the fleet left, Admiral Song sent a message to all ships. Tamman listened with the rest of Colonel Park's soldiers. We are about to begin the longest journey in human history, Admiral Song said. We go not for treasure or territory. We go because good people need help and we are the only ones who can give it. Some of you have asked why we're risking so much for aliens. I'll tell you why. Because 6 months ago, 2 of those aliens saved the life of 1 human. They didn't ask for payment. They didn't ask for thanks. They did it because it was right. The Admiral's voice got stronger. Now those same aliens are suffering. Their children are hungry. Their elders are dying. Evil beings are hunting them like animals. If we don't help them, who will? We carry with us the hopes of every human. We carry the debt of gratitude that all humanity owes to Veltar and Quinta. We go to show the galaxy that humans keep their promises. For Tamman's friends, Admiral Song finished. For Tamman's friends, 300,000 voices answered. The fleet began moving. Slowly at first, then faster as the ships organized into traveling formations. It was the most beautiful and terrible sight anyone had ever seen. The future of 2 entire species was traveling through space in those ships. For the first month, the journey was peaceful. The ships flew through empty space between the stars. Crews practiced fighting techniques. Engineers checked weapon systems. Soldiers trained for rescue missions. Tamman spent his time learning about Ethan culture from Dr. So-Ra Lee, who had joined the expedition. She taught him Ethan words and customs. She showed him pictures of their crystal cities and silver rivers. They're beautiful people, Dr. Lee said. They've never fought a war. They don't even have a word in their language for enemy. How do they defend themselves? Tamman asked. They don't. They believe that violence creates more violence. They think all problems can be solved by talking and understanding. That didn't work against the Vorthons. No, sometimes evil people don't want to talk. Sometimes the only way to stop evil is to fight it. In the second month, the fleet encountered Vorthon scout ships. These were small, fast vessels that watched for enemies. The human ships destroyed them quickly, but now the Vorthons knew they were coming. Admiral Song called another meeting. The enemy knows we're here. They'll be preparing for us. Good, said Colonel Park. I want them to know we're coming. I want them to be afraid. Captain Kim had been studying Vorthon battle tactics. They like to attack in straight lines with overwhelming force. They don't expect enemies to use clever strategies. Then we'll give them some surprises, Admiral Song said with a cold smile. In the 4th month, the fleet received a faint message from Ethon Space. It was from Elder Zephron, the leader of the surviving Ethans. Humans of Earth, the message said. We have heard rumors that you are coming to help us. We do not know if this is true, but if it is, we thank you. Many of our people have died. Many more are captured, but some of us still hide in the deep places of our world. We do not ask you to risk your lives for us. We know we are strangers to you, but if you can save even a few of our children, we will be grateful forever. The message made many humans cry. Even tough soldiers wiped tears from their eyes. These gentle people were dying, and they were still thinking about others before themselves. Tamman tried to send a message back, but the distance was too great. Instead, he whispered to the stars, "We're coming, we're almost there." In the 8th month, the fleet finally reached the edge of Ethon Space. Through their telescopes, they could see the Ethan homeworld. It was surrounded by black Vorthon, ships like a beautiful flower surrounded by thorns. Battle stations, Admiral Song ordered. All ships prepare for combat. Across the fleet, weapons powered up, shields activated. Soldiers checked their equipment one final time. Tamman put on his spacesuit and joined Colonel Park's assault team. In a few hours, they would find out if their 8-month journey had been worth it. Are you ready? Colonel Park asked her brother. Tamman thought about Veltar and Quinda. Somewhere on that planet, they might still be alive. They might be waiting for rescue. I'm ready, he said. The largest fleet in human history moved toward battle. Behind them, 8 months of empty space. Ahead of them, the most important fight of their lives. It was time to pay back a debt of kindness with the force of an entire species. Supreme Commander Vraktus of the Vorthan Empire stood on his command ship watching his sensors. What he saw made no sense. How many ships? He asked his officer. 847, sir. All human vessels. Vraktus laughed. Humans? The weak ones who help other species instead of conquering them? Why are they here? Unknown, sir. They're not responding to our messages. It doesn't matter. Destroy them. But Vraktus had made a big mistake. He thought humans were weak because they were kind. He was about to learn the difference between weakness and mercy. Admiral Song's fleet came out of hyperspace in a perfect battle formation. The human ships moved like dancers, each one knowing exactly where to go. The Vorthons had never seen anything like it. All ships, this is Admiral Song, came the message across the human fleet. Remember why we're here. We fight for Veltar and Quinda. We fight for every Ethon child hiding in the dark. Show them what happens when someone hurts our friends. The battle began with a storm of light. Human ships fired weapons that could melt mountains. Vorthon ships shot back with beams of pure energy. Space filled with explosions and flying metal. But the humans fought differently than the Vorthons expected. Instead of charging straight ahead, human ships moved in complex patterns. They worked together like a pack of wolves hunting a giant beast. Captain Kim's fast attack ships hit the Vorthons from one side, then quickly moved away. Captain Lee's heavy warships provided cover fire while other ships rescued damaged human vessels. The Vorthons kept trying to form battle lines, but the humans would not fight that way. Sir, a Vorthan officer reported to Commander Vraktus. We've lost 60 ships. The humans are using tactics we've never seen. Impossible. They're just humans. Sir, they're not fighting like any enemy we've faced. They seem to know what we're going to do before we do it. While the space battle raged, Colonel Park's special soldiers began their most important mission. Using small, fast ships, they flew down to the Ethan planet's surface. Their job was to find and rescue the surviving Ethans. Tamman was with the first rescue team. As their ship landed near a crystal city, he saw the damage the Vorthons had done. Beautiful buildings were broken, gardens were burned. The silver rivers that Quinda had shown him in pictures were now black with poison. Stay close, Colonel, Park told her soldiers. The Vorthons have troops down here too. They moved through the ruined city carefully. Every shadow could hide an enemy. Every sound could mean danger. But Tamman was not thinking about the danger. He was thinking about his friends. Veltar, he called out in the Ethan language. Quinda, it's Tamman. We've come to help you. For a long time, there was no answer. Then they heard a sound from underground, a voice speaking in Ethan words. Down, here, Dr. Lee translated. They're saying down here. The rescue team found a hidden entrance to underground tunnels. As they went deeper, they found something wonderful. Hundreds of Ethans were hiding in a vast cave system. They had survived by eating mushrooms and drinking underground water, but they looked terrible. They were thin and sick. Many were hurt. Children cried from hunger. We're here to help, Tamman said in his broken Ethan language. We're friends. An old Ethan came forward. It was Elder Zephyron, the one who had sent messages to human space. You really came, he said in English. We hoped, but we did not believe. Why would humans risk so much for us? Because 2 of your people saved my life, Tamman said. Where are Veltar and Quinda? Elder Zephyron's face became very sad. The Vorthons took them to the prison camp 3 days ago. We think they are still alive, but we do not know for how much longer. Tamman felt his heart break and fill with rage at the same time. Where is this prison camp? 20 miles north in the mountain valley, but it is heavily guarded. You cannot save them. Colonel Park stepped forward. Watch us. While the rescue team saved Ethans from the underground cities, the space battle was turning in humanity's favor. The Vorthons had more ships, but the humans fought smarter. They used tricks and strategies that confused their enemies. Engineer Wubin Kang had designed special weapons just for fighting Vorthons. Human missiles could change direction in flight. Human shields could absorb energy attacks and shoot the power back at enemies. Sir, a Vorthon officer shouted to Commander Vractus. They're destroying our command ships. How do they know which ones to target? Vractus was beginning to understand. They studied us. They learned our weaknesses before they came here. What are your orders, sir? Pull back to defensive positions around the planet. We'll make them pay for every mile. But it was too late. The human fleet had broken the Vorthon formation. Now, Admiral Song gave the order his people had been waiting for. All rescue teams begin surface operations. Save every Ethan you can find. The mission to rescue Veltar and Quinda was the most dangerous of all. The prison camp was surrounded by walls and guard towers. Vorthon soldiers with heavy weapons watched every entrance. But Tamman's rescue team had advantages the Vorthons did not expect. Colonel Park's soldiers were trained for impossible missions. They moved like ghosts in the night. They knew how to fight in small groups against larger enemies. The attack came just before dawn. Human soldiers disabled the guard towers with silent weapons. They cut holes in the walls without making noise. They freed the Ethon prisoners before the alarm could sound. Tamman ran through the prison looking for his friends. He found them in a dark cell, thin and hurt but alive. Veltar! Quinda! They looked up at him with wonder. Tamman? But how are you here? We came to get you, all of us came. All of who? Quinda asked weakly. Humanity. The whole human fleet is here. Veltar could not believe it. Your entire species came here? For us? You saved my life. That made you family. And humans protect their family. As they helped Veltar and Quinda to safety, the 2 Ethans saw something impossible. The sky was full of human ships fighting Vorthon vessels. Explosions lit up the darkness like fireworks. You really did this, Quinda whispered. You brought an army across the galaxy for 2 people who helped 1 human. We brought an army for every Ethon, Tamman corrected her. You're all worth saving. The battle ended 3 days later. Commander Vractus was captured when his command ship was destroyed. The surviving Vorthons surrendered when they realized they could not win. But the real victory was not the battle. It was what happened next. Human medical ships began healing sick Ethans. Human engineers started rebuilding the crystal cities. Human farmers brought seeds to replant the poisoned gardens. Admiral Song met with Elder Zephyron to discuss the future. What do humans want in return for this help? The elder asked. Nothing, Admiral Song said. We came here to pay a debt. The debt is paid. But surely you want something. Trade agreements, territory, resources. Admiral Song smiled. We want to be friends. We want to learn from each other. We want to build something good together. 6 months later, Tamman stood in a rebuilt crystal city with Veltar and Quinda. The gardens were green again. The rivers ran silver and clean. Children played in the streets. I still cannot believe it, Veltar said. We saved one human, and humanity answered with everything they had. That's what families do, Tamman said. And you made us family when you decided my life was worth saving. Quinda pointed to the sky, where human and Ethan ships flew together, on patrol. The galaxy is different now. Other species see what humans did for us. They know humans keep their promises. They know humans protect their friends, Veltar added. In the distance, human and Ethan children played together in the crystal gardens. They spoke a mixture of both languages and laughed at the same jokes. The future was bright with possibility. Tamman thought about that cold moon where he had almost died. He thought about the message he had sent into empty space, hoping someone would hear. Someone had heard. 2 gentle souls had risked everything to save a stranger. And that stranger had been part of something bigger. Something that crossed the galaxy to pay back kindness with kindness. The stars looked down on a universe changed forever. Where once there had been only darkness between species, now there was light. And it had all started with 2 aliens who decided that one human life was worth saving.